Kevin Flynn.
Rebecca Lavoie.
When did you go to college?
When did I go? A long time ago.
All right, well, it's the Readathon.
All right.
So I bet you're wondering why I asked you when you went to college.
I am wondering why.
Are you telling the truth?
Something tells me it was a crazy day on the stand.
Kevin? All right, so let me just tell you what's going to happen so that the listeners can have an expectation. So Mel Barrett, my other partner on the podcast, must also talk about today, but she and I are a little out of sync tonight time-wise, so we are going to tape another episode about today tomorrow.
Okay.
That's how good it is. But I just want to give you an overview and tell you what happened. So, Kevin, on Friday, Judge Beverly Cannoli issued a ruling that at the time I thought, this is wild. And we talked to a couple lawyer friends about it, and they were like, that's really unusual for Massachusetts.
Okay.
Basically, she ruled because Hank Brennan was being, and I'm not going to lie, a giant baby. Basically, ARCA issued their report when they said they would. And then his expert stuff just didn't match with their report. So he said that he got a surprise report from one of his experts at this company, Aperture, which is doing the car data and the crash reconstruction stuff. Okay.
Commonwealth got a surprise report from its own expert.
He said, we didn't realize we were going to get this. But basically what happened was that the defense made an argument that this new information that they just received on May 11th should be excluded, because basically what they did was their expert lined up his testimony to match with Ian Whiffin's testimony.
Who said that it should be excluded?
The defense.
Okay, all right.
And then Hank Brennan had the gall to say, I just got this report and it was a surprise. What's happening here, basically what it all has to do with is the synchronization of clocks. So this new amendment to this guy, Shannon Burgess, who we'll talk about the report, basically shifted the time of the, quote, trigger event on Karen Reed's car like a minute. A whole minute? Yeah, push it into the next minute. This doesn't matter.
Oh,
None
okay.
of this
matters. All right. Well, they just have this pattern of like all their experts, none of their timelines.
And I just want to say, so Alessi was like, I want that out, or I want there to be a
instruction of the jury?
Voir dire.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Brennan was like, no. What I want is one of my experts to be able to come back after ARCA testifies so they can rebut what ARCA says.
So the state wants to rest and
Yeah.
then come back later and do more.
Yeah.
So they're not really resting.
And she said,
anyway, all right.
She said yes.
She said yes to this.
Right. So this happened Friday.
What the fuck?
By the
all
way,
right.
this is a very simplified version of what happened.
Okay.
I was very upset about this all weekend until today.
Okay.
When I got to meet one of these Aperture experts for the first time.
Okay.
So we'll talk about morning stuff with Mel tomorrow. There were some DNA experts in today. It was pretty boring, blah, 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 blah. And then they brought in this guy, Shannon Burgess. Shannon Burgess, there's been some talk about Shannon Burgess on social media in the last week or so about there being some discrepancy between two versions of his CV, his resume.
Okay.
One of them says he graduated with his bachelor's degree in 2022, and the other one says 2024. Turns out what, Kevin? Dude has been working on his bachelor's for 18 years and never graduated. 17 years. 17 years.
He doesn't have a degree?
Not only that. All right.
What?
It's perfectly fine, by the way, for an expert to not have a degree. I'm not going to be snotty about
But a bachelor's degree?
I am going to be snobby about the fact that apparently either he was lying about it or his company was lying about it. It was on their website. They linked to his LinkedIn page. It was all there that he had this bachelor's degree in a major that doesn't exist from a college in Alabama.
And he's the state's expert.
Yes.
The state said, is the state getting all their experts from Fiverr?
It kind of feels like it, honestly. So I will go over like the particulars of what he testified to tomorrow. This is not important.
Did this come up in court?
It came up on cross-examination.
In front of the jury?
Kevin, I can't even tell you. This was the wildest day. And like I said, we will get into the particulars of what he testified to tomorrow. None of that matters right now. I just have to tell you what happened, old school style, you and me sitting at the kitchen counter at Readathon like we used to do before we had a Readathon style. So he was examined on direct by Hank Brennan. And then Bob Alessi, who, by the way, trained as a pharmacist before becoming a lawyer. So he has like this science and biology background. And he's also a litigator in environmental law and corporate law and all these like areas, right?
Sure.
Dude has been amazing with technical witnesses. Although he has a strange style, and this comes in important here. Since I haven't done a bunch of Alessi episodes with you, you should know that when he starts, you're generally like, what the fuck is he doing? Why is he repeating himself? Where is he going? What he's doing with every cross is he builds a foundation and gets the person to agree to a bunch of stuff.
Gets a lot of yeses to set him up for a no.
It's like a Jenga cube.
Okay, right.
And then he goes and pulls all the bottom out of the Jenga cube with a witness. So he started his cross-examination today with this guy by talking about confirmation bias and anchor bias and the scientific method, all right? And what he was basically saying was, you were asked to do a specific thing, and so you were looking for that specific thing. And the guy kind of didn't dispute that. I will say one thing about this guy, Shannon Burgess. I'll give him credit. He can take it. He got beat up on the stand so hard today. And the entire time, he was just like, yep, I see that. Seems like a mistake. Yep. Seems like I fucked that up. Yeah.
What else can you say?
Yeah.
Be like Yuri Buchanan. I don't know. Define degree.
Yes. And then... So, by the way, this guy, Shannon Burgess, he assumed that John O'Keefe had been hit by a car when he was doing this stuff. Okay.
All right.
And by the way, so you should know, the first report he issued as part of his expert stuff was at the end of January. It was on January 30th. He issued his amended report on May 8th. Okay,
sure. Like
and the prosecution held it on, you know, 2 weeks ago. It's like a few days ago. Then they held on the report for a couple of days and gave it to the defense didn't give it to the defense until the 11th. Okay. So he's asking him all these questions, and it's about sort of like the time stuff, and just this guy's whole process is around trying to find the quote clock drift between the clock in the Lexus and John O'Keefe's iPhone clock. Okay, and so he's basically saying like the clocks are different, so the collision event in the car, if you want to use John O'Keefe's clock, it actually moved because he's calling it the collision event, because if you look at the data in John O'Keefe's phone and you time up those two events, it would put it into the 1232 range or whatever. So that's basically the premise of what he was saying.
Okay.
Again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I cannot stress to you how much that doesn't matter, but we will talk about it tomorrow. So Alessi asks Shannon if the credentials on his CV are true, and he says, quote, they should be.
They should be?
Mm-hmm. Then he asks him, so...
Did you clean your room?
Yeah.
I should have.
So he said, you have LinkedIn, right? Mm-hmm. And he basically walked him through his bio page on the website, and he said, your bio page links out to your LinkedIn profile, true? And he was like, yeah, I have that LinkedIn. He goes, do you get an alert when someone looks at your LinkedIn? Which must mean he has LinkedIn Pro.
Yeah, when Pro tells you that people are looking.
And he said, yes. And he said, did you get an alert that someone from the defense looked at your LinkedIn in the past 72 hours?
Jesus.
Do you know why they wanted to know that?
Why did they want to know that?
Because within the past 72 hours, the LinkedIn link on the website for Aperture has been disabled. And his LinkedIn page has been essentially gone private or taken down. It's gone.
Oh!
All right.
But tell me they got a screenshot of this.
Of course they did. They were showing it to him. And of course they were like, do you recognize this? Is this your LinkedIn?
Is this your LinkedIn page?
So the Aperture website lists his education. And when you scroll down, it shows that he has a bachelor in mathematics and business administration from an Alabama college. I don't want to say exactly which one because I don't want to besmirch them. It's not their fault.
They may not be real either.
When he turned in to his CV to the court, it said that he's currently pursuing his bachelor's, but the Aperture website and his LinkedIn says he had it. And it says he graduated in 2022, and then another document said 2024, okay? So apparently his LinkedIn was still live, but in the past 72 hours, they removed the link to it. And people on Twitter are saying that his LinkedIn is now gone. So I look for him.
Sounds like it's worth blowing up.
I couldn't find him when I looked at him.
Okay.
So at this point, now we were busy today, right?
Yeah, sure.
And I sort of logged in a little bit, was watching live. I had missed some of the cross before this. And you were in the studio in this room preparing for an interview, and I was on the couch. And you heard me make some sounds, right? Sounds like, oh,
yes,
and,
exactly.
oh my God.
Yes.
What the other sound I was making was that like sound you make when you're nervous and your bowels get all twisted. If that ever happened to you, where you felt like you had to have like nervous poos?
No.
All right, it's happened to me, and I think listeners will be able to relate to this.
Okay.
Something bad is happening, and you just feel like a little sick, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I felt that so hard secondhand for this guy. So hard secondhand. It was like I felt about Trooper Paul when Trooper Paul was testifying about physics and properties of physics in his the first trial.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this guy, I think it's important to note, and as you know, this is not about how somebody looks. It's about how the jury will see them. It's important to note that he has a weird dual-colored goatee, and this is not represented in this photo. He has one little tuft of hair on the front of his head. Like he's like kind of balding, but he hasn't given up the ghost yet, and he just has one little tuft in front, a little clown hair on the back.
Like Hermie the elf from Rudolph?
100% yes.
Yeah,
and the other reason to note his appearance is that Sue O'Connell tweeted, she's the person who gives observations from the courtroom and looks at the jury. She tweeted, a lot of people are asking me about the temperature in the courtroom. The reason they were asking her about the temperature in the courtroom is that he was sweaty as fuck. He was just like Richard Nixoning it, like in that debate. You know what I mean?
Well, if someone starts with, let's talk about your resume, you know what's coming next.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So they let him squirm.
So Alessi got him to admit that he had, in fact, reviewed his public profile on Aperture before it went on the site. So he 100% saw.
Yeah, he knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just show it to you. There he is. Okay. Forensic expert, digital, Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration, University of Birmingham, Alabama, 2022.
And you got his email address too, so that's
100%. So it
Can
comes
I ask
out,
where this document came from?
This is the Aperture website. Look,
his
aperture.v3. Yeah, this is from the Aperture website. All right. He's a forensic expert digital.
He's got all these professional certifications.
Right?
Okay.
And it says he got his Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, 2022, and his Associate of Applied Science and Computer Networking at Wallace State Community College in Huntsville, Alabama, 2015.
Yeah, okay.
So it turns out, as he had to admit on the stand, that not only does he not have this bachelor's degree, which he began working toward in 2008.
Okay.
So he still hasn't finished that. And when asked, isn't it true there's no such major as Bachelor of General Science in Mathematics and Business Administration at the University of Alabama, this poor guy, Shannon Burgess, had to say, yeah, that's inaccurate. I'm actually, what it should say is a general studies major with a minor in mathematics and business. A little bit different.
With and he's the expert?
Yes.
He's the expert.
He's there. They are depending on him to convince the jury that the clock...
That the ARCA people are wrong.
Exactly, 100%. So
he's going to say the ARCA people.
Exactly. They made, quote, a mistake.
They made a mistake.
So
this guy.
Him and Dr. Welcher are going to be the two experts. And Hank Brennan said on Friday that they were hand in hand. You had to have this guy as a foundation for Dr. Welcher.
Yeah.
Dr. Welcher, I think, is the one who's going to come back and refute some of the ARCA stuff, or maybe they both will. I was so upset about that. Now I'm like, bring it. Have them come back. I want these people on the stand as much as possible.
See, like, one shouldn't turn up like one's nose because somebody didn't go to Harvard.
Of course.
And
I didn't graduate college till I was 39.
Right, or that it takes a long time for some people. Life happens. Did he get this like once, one credit at a time? People do that. That's fine. That's not really the issue. It's not even really the issue that the resume is all wrong. Oh, that's a big thing, though. It's like when you are an expert, your expertise is either based on a lot of hands-on practical experience or a lot of academic experience.
Right.
And it's funny that he's working at a place and somebody said, you know what? You're the expert. And we're going to
have you testify in court.
You go testify.
Right. He did testify under...
Maybe they think Karen Reed didn't do it. And they're like, send Elroy Jetson here.
It sounds like a big part of his job is doing stuff on behalf of insurance companies who don't want to pay claims.
Okay.
He actually said that on the stand. You
mean all insurance companies? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So at one point, Alessi said to him, "Are you familiar with the term mendacity?"
You have the mendacity.
And then
sir.
he just let that. He was like, "No," and then he didn't ask a follow-up question. And then he said, "Are you familiar with the phrase academic dishonesty?" This was, Kevin, when I say, you remember Trooper Paul?
Yeah.
This was so much worse than Trooper Paul. So much worse than Trooper Paul. So the defense, and one of the defense experts is this guy, Matt DeSogra, all right? And one of the things that this dude did was he took Matt DeSogra's report and he did some work to basically debunk Matt DeSogra's report, a report that he debunked by confusing bits with bytes and doing all the mathematical conversions wrong.
Jesus.
Also came out on cross. So the other big thing here is that he basically revealed that Hank Brennan lied about this whole process on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So Hank Brennan said, remember, that my expert sent me this report and I was surprised to get it. But apparently he wanted to clear up some potential.
I was surprised to get the report. I asked my experts.
The second amended report.
Oh, I was surprised that they fucked up the first one.
I was surprised that he added on and sent more information. Now, Alessi pulls out the cover page of this report and it says, and I'm paraphrasing, "Mr. Brennan, per your request, here's my new stuff." All right.
Here's per your request.
And when asked about that, his answer was, "Oh, that's not from this report. I just copied and pasted that from another report." And so it ended up on this one. And Alessi's like, "It's a standard practice for you to just copy and paste from one report to the other." And he was like, "In this instance, I did it." Okay.
The mendacity.
So he really hammered home that this guy got the bits and bytes wrong. And he was like, so in layman's terms, like, you got that wrong. And he was like, "Yes, I made a mistake." All right.
No further questions.
Basically, what he got him to nail down is that not only did he write this report probably on Hank Brennan's request, the supplemental report, but he did it in order to line up with other prosecution's witnesses.
Yep.
Ian Whiffin's report, Jessica Hyde's stuff, like they wanted that timing to line up, right?
Right.
And he said, and basically the question was like, did you talk to Mr. Brennan before you sent this report? Yes.
Sure.
They had talked about this report.
Yeah.
Before who else did you talk to? Lieutenant Tully. How many times? A handful. How many is a handful? Between 5 and 10. I'm sorry, that's 2 handfuls.
That's 2 handfuls, yeah.
But another point that he made was that, how many times have you sent in an amended or changed report in the middle of a trial? Guess how many times?
Less than a handful?
1. And it's this one.
And this one. There you go. Oh, he's like, I had all this homework to do from the University of Alabama.
Yes.
And I got really...
So he says that pursuant to your request was copy and paste. He says,
and again, he doesn't have that degree, right? He doesn't actually have a bachelor's degree?
No.
He just... Okay.
And the one that he's been pursuing for 17 years is in general studies, which, no offense to you general studies majors out there, but that means you don't have a specialty.
That's
you know
true.
What that means.
That's true. Your specialty isn't doing math that he got wrong.
Well, that's his minor. Your specialty is taking a broad swath of courses and not wanting to say I'm an English major or communications major, so you call yourself a general studies
major. Now let's discuss Beowulf.
Listen, as an English major with a minor in communications, I fucking get it. I get it, guys.
I have a major in communications and a minor in English and history.
And like I said...
Fucking useless, yeah.
Like I said, this would not be relevant and I would not be bringing it up and I'm not being snobby about it.
You're not presenting yourself as an expert.
In court.
In a murder trial.
That's also why sweat matters, right? That's why nervousness and sweat matters. Even though he was very, like I said, confident on his answers to these questions. He could take it, which I was kind of impressed by.
There are the things that you say and there are things that you project. And even if he's really good or not really wrong, then, it just doesn't look good.
Well, what this guy says, Shannon, is that he did this new work based on one of the defense's reports from this guy, DeSogra, that came in March. He says, I reviewed it in March and, quote, my initial thoughts were to address it in testimony. But then as I was thinking about it and preparing for trial,
as I was thinking about
I made the decision to write the supplemental report. He says it was his decision, even though in the top of the report it says, Mr. Brennan, pursuant to your request. So that's kind of where we left off. I mean, we were leaving off at other juicy parts where he was pulling out other reports and documentation, and you could tell Alessi was about to show him something. And this all happened after lunch, by the way.
Okay.
And Bev was like, I think this is a good time to adjourn for the day. So that's not the substance, but the character of what happened in court today.
It's funny because if this came to light to the defense like 2 months ago, they would have been pushing to have him not testify, right? To not have him certified as an expert.
I'm telling you something. It's better that he did.
This is way better for the defense.
It's so much better.
It looks...
It's so much better. I had nervous bowels the entire time I was watching this. I was like sick. I was like,
him?
No, not for him, like because of him.
Because of him.
You know how like when you see somebody really uncomfortable, like it makes you, like I felt like it was happening to me, but I was also really freaking glad it was happening. Like it was a very mixed emotion on my part. I'm just wondering if Hank Brennan is going to be responsible for this guy not having a job at some point in the future, because he's not a great representative for his company at this point. He's just not.
So the defense is bringing in the preeminent physics team with ARCA.
In the world. Arguably, yeah.
And the Commonwealth brings in, as their rebuttal expert,
Krusty the Clown.
A guy who still doesn't have his bachelor's degree.
Right.
And is lying on his LinkedIn. And this all gets presented to him in the box in front of the jury.
Yes. And Alessi built to it, like as he's called, they call him Edward Scissorhands on Twitter. And that's what it felt like today. It was just like,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So that is the...
this is an entertaining trial.
Kevin, your mom was texting me during this testimony.
What did she think? What did mom say?
Your mom said, she said, the start of another week of the trial, I think the jurors may get sleepy from all the experts testifying about the DNA results. How about this one guy who lied on his CV about having a bachelor's degree? So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing. And he's still on the stand?
He is still on the stand.
Wow.
Yeah, so we get more tomorrow.
I wonder if he's at the Omni Hotel where Karen is. The Seaport, yeah.
Oh, my God. After we tape, I'm going to show you some of the freeze frame facial expressions from the defense table today. At one point, David Yannetti is looking at Karen Reed and he's literally like this.
Yeah.
Like during the testimony. Like it was, my favorite was when they left for lunch. So Brennan stopped with this witness at the lunch break, right? And there's a point at which Alessi, because, there's so many lawyers at the defense table and they're behind the prosecution table.
Yeah.
Alessi has to get up and like move a little bit, move his chair over so like Brennan can walk by. And he's like, hey.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
There's only one question.
I'm going to go have a sandwich and then I'm going to make lunch meat out of that guy.
Oh, wow. So I have one question. Sue O'Connell is the commentator for WBZ News. Her Twitter feed is just focused on color. She doesn't.
Yes, color
clearly
commentary.
She's not reporting.
It's very useful.
And she mostly is giving reactions from the jurors. She's giving her impressions of how they are reacting. And I got to know, how did this play with the jury?
Well, Kevin, depends on who you ask. But from where I sit, it seems like it played pretty well.
Okay.
They seemed a little bit like low during the cross-examination during DNA, which keep in mind was very boring.
Yeah, okay.
They literally found profiles of John O'Keefe and 2 other people on the shit, and they're like a 7 nonillion to 0 that it's Buchanan, right? But only 70,000 to 0, by the way, that it's 70,000 to 1 that it's Proctor. Interestingly, of course, that still eliminates him. But and it was just boring, and it was basically all the cross was like, if you get garbage in, are you going to get garbage? It was exactly what you would expect,
yeah, right?
These DNA witnesses have nothing to do with anything.
Right.
They work at a private company hired by the state of Massachusetts to run this DNA, which came from like a sock drawer and stored in like a sandwich bag that also had a sandwich in it or whatever. It was just bullshit. So anyway, so that was all boring. She said that during the beginning part of this, the science guy, she calls him the science one, the science juror, seemed really interested. Some people weren't really taking notes.
There's a juror who's like really interested in science.
All the science stuff.
Yep, okay.
But then near the end of the day, she said, all the jurors are just looking at Alessi and not looking at this witness. And I was like, So am I, Sue. So am I. Because Kevin, I couldn't look at him. Mm-hmm. Like, I was uncomfortable for him at home. The jury's literally sitting like 2 feet from him.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine. And also Alessi was today. This is why they hired this guy.
That noise was the chef's kiss.
Although he is volunteering. He's doing this case pro bono.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thoughts?
That just seems brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot about the state's case that for a juror to want to convict, they have to find credibility in this because, it's beyond a reasonable doubt. There's a lot of stuff here that the defense it has been and will continue to bring up. It's like, oh, well, I don't know. I mean, that's something that leads to reasonable doubt. They have to find what the prosecution is presenting to be credible.
Correct.
And after you have Buchanan with his, I don't know what that means, you go get a dictionary cross-examination, which looked so bad that somebody obviously told him to knock it the fuck off the next day. Mm-hmm. And stuff like this. I mean, again, like you had a Trooper Paul, you had the way that Proctor got destroyed in the first trial. This is another one, and those ones sort of play to, the state troopers to the idea of there being a conspiracy, that element of the alternative theory. This plays to the science part of it,
yes,
which is going to be really important. We'll get ARCA in, and depending on what they say, you're going to have to decide, if these super important people come in and say, the physics don't back it up, there's no possible way it could happen, how does the state respond? And even though it's, going early, it's preemptively responding to this. And they got this joke. I'm sorry, the guy ends up being a joke.
He's one of the jokes.
They bring this guy on.
Yeah.
The jury's like, is that going to be convincing? It's either this guy destroys the prosecution's that leg of the prosecution's case, or they just have to completely ignore him. He does not move this football down the field for the Commonwealth.
I think Alessi is going to keep him on the stand as long as possible, just like they did with Jen McCabe. Mm-hmm. They kept Jen McCabe on I think he's going to finish the questions tomorrow, but I think he's going to start tomorrow by backtracking and repeating some of the stuff from today. Uh-huh. But Jen McCabe was on the stand for days because they want the jury to have the long experience of somebody being sort of taken apart, right?
Right.
So can I tell you about a couple other things that happened today?
Yeah, sure.
In related news, a bunch of charges today, and more news will come on this later, were dropped against Aiden Carney.
Turtle Boy.
The picketing charge, a couple of felony witness intimidation charges, etc. This is more interesting. There's another high-profile murder case going on in Massachusetts. Have you heard of the Brian Walsh case?
I have not.
This is a guy who is accused. He's this guy. He's like business guy. He's accused of murdering and dismembering his wife. So some of the evidence against him are Google searches about disposing a body, right?
Okay, yeah.
Best ways to dispose of a body were his Google searches.
How long to dismember a body? Okay.
He is now asking for those Google searches to be excluded from evidence because in the Karen Read case, the Commonwealth has said that you can't timestamp Google searches based on this bullshit blah, blah, blah theory. Mm-hmm. So now he's bringing that into his case. He's saying the Commonwealth says this in this other case. So think about it. The Commonwealth has hired experts just to refute basically this third party culprit thing.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
They are basically defending Jen McCabe. They're defending Brian Higgins. They're defending Brian Albert. And they hired experts just for that purpose. This company, Aperture, was only hired because ARCA has proven that she did not hit him with her car. And they're looking for anybody in the world who will say that they have proof that she did. That's what they're looking for. And by the way, this guy did not have proof he did it. He talked about an event which didn't seem like anything like a collision. And in his first report, he never used the word collision. So they are bending over backwards, hiring people to refute this defense theory, and as such, are fucking up other prosecutions in the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure the Attorney General is thrilled about that.
Maybe Brian Albert killed Walsh's wife. I don't know. Anyway, so that's the overview about what happened today. And Kevin, I know that you don't watch things on the trial after we talk about it.
Yeah.
Highly recommend just going to today's live stream, going back at any point during the second half and watching any 5 minutes of it.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes, by the way, so that you guys can check it out. And I will cue it up to when the cross-examination begins. Because trust me, that's the part you want to watch. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me on the Readathon.
You're welcome.
More tomorrow with Mel Barrett about some more of the substance and fallout from today. And of course, we'll also talk about what happens tomorrow in court on that episode. So we'll see you then.
Partners in Crime Media.